catch up later. We'll get the 10 down. It's my keyboard.
In short, there's looks.
Get through.
Oh, yeah, no.
Thanks, Phil. Can we get through? Thanks.
Try again afterwards, that's it, I guess. Couldn't get a clear signal, so I don't know how to do it. It's like move around to it. Right. No, I just started using it as a thing to save my pockets to cost them.
Yeah, it is.
got to be bright for the light, that's all.
Yeah. I mean, am I squinting too much? I'm worried I'm going to be squinting like this.
It's got to be brighter than the sun, that's all.
Yeah. Alright, just going to turn it on until...
Yeah, I can try something a little bit softer, but...
Brighter than this?
You lost it here. You lost the background to white. So,
Yeah, but it's
I can sacrifice the background a bit.
This I could do.
That.
That's alright. We should call in. Do you have the details?
Yeah.
Or are they going to call?
I think they'll call me, but I can...
Okay.
I'll try him again. Hey, mate. Hello. Hey, it's Tom. Hey, can I have the IFB for this phone? Yeah, you can now call this one for all IFB. Okay. Thank you. How do you say thank you?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you well.
Could you maybe hand me my water? The bottle?
You're running low.
Thank you well. Can you tell the reporter we will try to reach VRT? They say they want to check at 1:45, just 5 minutes.
Okay.
Or they can see me already.
They can't hear you.
Yeah, I don't know if they can hear me.
That's what they can.
Can you remind me before you leave, so but we're not connected yet, are we?
Nope.
No.
Need IFB to ask them.
Yeah. So they need to call you. Yes.
Preferably, yes. get it?
Seriously, man.
Hey.
Hello. Hi. Okay, yep. You can put it through. Yep. Okay, here.
Ja.
Too loud, too soft.
Nou, dit is goed. Oké, kan jullie horen? Horen jullie mij goed? Hallo Bram, ja, ik hoor jou. Kun je mij horen? Goed zo. Volgens mij zit er wel een kleine vertraging op de lijn. Maar de vorige keer bij de NOS ging het toch prima. Het was niet te veel vertraging toen we eenmaal begonnen. Ja, het zegt nu meteen iets terug. Maar ja. Oké. Nou ja, prima. Dan moet ik het dan maar mee doen. En wanneer willen jullie mij, wanneer beginnen jullie? Oh ja. Ja, oké, fijn. En hoe laat ben ik precies aan de beurt? Oké, zo is het van 10 minuten. Oké, dan ga ik hier even gaan. Internationale held. Hij wist ook een van de schutters overleefd. Hij is ongeveer zelf neergeschoten. Hij is geschoten in zijn hand, in zijn arm. En is nog in het ziekenhuis. Het is veel pijn voor zijn familie, maar het heeft geen tijd te hebben om het zo opnieuw te doen. En dat is door een internationale actie ruim 800.000 euro voor.
Is it bearable? Like right now, you're dark, like.
Yeah, it's fine. Once we get going, I'll be fine. Yeah.
overlay? Do you need any overlay?
No.
No?
No.
Only good.
Are you about to go live? I'm about to go live right now.
Are we good?
Yeah, well, let's just wait. Hey, how much do you really need? 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Yeah. Oké. Ik doe het licht aan bij de camera als we beginnen.
Hoe gaat dat? Okay.
Yeah.
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 Look down here, I'll see if I can turn it down more.
Okay. Yes.
Are you happy with that framing?
I think so. Yeah. Okay, 1 minute.
1 minute.
Dankjewel. We weten dat het gaat om een vader en zoon, Sajid en Navim Akrat, van 50 en 24 jaar. De vader is in de jaren 90 naar Australië verhuisd en de zoon is hier geboren. We weten inmiddels ook dat in 2019 de zoon is onderzocht door de Australische veiligheidsdiensten vanwege banden mogelijk met de terreurgroep Islamitische Staat. Hij zou contact hebben met een cel in Sydney van IS, maar toen is geconcludeerd dat hij geen bedreiging vormde. Nou, dat bleek dit weekend dat dat een grote fout was geweest, want de twee mannen hadden gezegd tegen de familie dat ze op vakantie gingen om te vissen. En in plaats daarvan zijn ze naar Bondi gekomen en hebben ze dit enorme bloedbad aangericht.
I got to read it. I actually have to read it. So Christy, don't hold it for a second. Get the record. I don't know how many other people we got. We got people here that can stay here. Yeah, we are. We can do it for this okay, does that work for you? Yeah. So now we'll meet them and guide them in. Mike, we gotta find you a spot. You go around the back, Mike, appreciate that.
Oh, the order, these, they're in order. Okay, yeah. Hello? No. Yeah, are you guys ready? Are you in the, oh, wait.
Investigators have been coming and going from police headquarters all day long. They're still searching for the suspect. And late this afternoon, they released some new surveillance video. The hope is that that suspect will lead to an arrest. live. A lot of this is what I like tonight.
Good afternoon, everybody. Again, I'm Providence Mayor Brett Smiley. In a few moments, we will hear from Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee, Providence Police Chief Colonel Oscar Perez, and then Ted Dock, Special Agent in Charge from the FBI. I'm going to start with a brief update, and then just to let folks know about the work that we continue to do to reassure residents in Providence that they're safe in their community, and we are grateful for all of the assistance that we have continued to receive. As we announced last night, we would be providing enhanced police coverage throughout the Brown community, throughout the East Side, and really throughout the city of Providence. And what residents and neighbors saw today was exactly that. There was specific enhanced coverage in Fox Point, Wayland Square, on Thayer Street, and on Hope Street, which are the commercial districts in the area. And I want to express the city's profound gratitude to the following departments who provided mutual assistance and additional coverage today. First and foremost, the Rhode Island State Police have been excellent partners, and I'm grateful for the governor of making sure that those resources are available to us here in Providence. But we were also assisted today by friends from neighboring communities here in Rhode Island, which is a terrific way in which our colleagues from throughout Rhode Island have been assisting. Today we had extra help from North Kingstown, North Providence, East Providence, Central Falls, and Pawtucket. Many other communities have offered to help, and we expect to take that help in the days to come. But through that mutual assistance of our neighboring communities, we were able to provide that additional coverage. Secondly, we were able to provide coverage to our schools today. We did have school here in Providence. I'm glad we had school today in Providence. We'll have school tomorrow in Providence. This is the last week of the semester, and it's important for kids to be in school, and so we're encouraging parents to do what's right for their family. We understand that there are probably difficult conversations happening at the kitchen table right now, but if you're comfortable, you should send your kid to school. Providence Public Schools are open, and we have police coverage at drop-off and pickup times to provide that extra sense of safety and security for our families. I spent the morning out at our schools too in the neighborhood to be there for our parents, and they certainly were glad to see an officer helping out. And so, as we've said many times, but it's important to continue to say we're so grateful for the tireless effort of law enforcement, not just to assist with the investigation, but to help all of us feel safe in our home. At this time, I'm going to turn the mic over to our Governor Dan McKee.
Thanks, Mayor. And just like all of us, we want to see the individual that pulled the trigger on these young kids identified, apprehended, and brought to justice. I can tell you from the state level, we're continuing to coordinate our state police and instructed the colonel to make sure that all the resources that are available are being employed through the direction of the mayor, but that partnership is incredibly important. I also know that the schools are not only being impacted on the higher education in Providence, and also the K through 12, but I also have heard and have been in contact with our Commissioner of Higher Education, Shannon Gilkey, along with our Commissioner of K through 12, Helen Infante Green, to make sure that we are reassessing all safety issues in all our schools in the state of Rhode Island, and more to come on that. The issues that have to do with mental health, coordinating around the state through our higher ed and through our K through 12. I've assigned Director Rick Leclerc to make sure that they're coordinating all of the social services, all the mental health help that's out there, so that we can kind of also deliver that on a statewide basis. I was at Family Services Rhode Island today on Hope Street, and just seeing what they're doing, and it's being duplicated all around the state of Rhode Island. So I think it's important that we do everything we can out of the governor's office to support what's happening at Brown, the community of Brown, Providence, but also knowing that this is impacting on a statewide basis. So we're deploying that efforts to make the effort to let people know that we want to do everything we can so they can be safe and feel safe. And then finally, we want to make sure that all Rhode Islanders know that everything that is physically possible is being done, and partnering in with our federal, the FBI, our state law enforcement, and also the local law enforcement to bring an individual and identify and bring that person to justice. We also have been involved in communicating with the League of Cities and Towns today. Through Randy Rossi, they've sent out a message to deploy their vehicles, their police vehicles, at the beginning of school day, at the end of the school day, all around the state of Rhode Island to, again, show that we're serious about having people and the families feel safe, and that everything that's being done to make sure that that happens on a statewide basis, because this has become a statewide issue that is being impacted families and people throughout the state of Rhode Island. Mayor?
Now we'll hear from Colonel Oscar Perez.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all for being here again. Here we are once again to provide you with some of the highlights and the progress that the Providence Police Department, along with several agencies, have gone together and stepped up to come up to this. I want to remind you that this is a very active investigation, very complex investigation, and it's the dedicated work of the men and women of the Providence Police Department, the Detective Division, the Community Response Team, the Special Response Team. It's all hands on deck. And on top of it all, you have the state police who's assisting us, and every other federal partner that has been in this building for several hours. And I want to commend and applaud them for the work that they have done. And that includes the FBI, HSI, ATF, the IRS, the Marshals, and several other agencies, analysts that are here. So it's pretty active, because we want to make sure, as the governor stated, as the mayor stated, to make sure that we identify this individual and bring him to justice. Our work that initiated today and continues to initiate for a while, since it started, we're at the 49th hour, and there's no one that wants to put this individual in handcuffs than us. So this has brought us to a new lead, which I momentarily will be able to provide you with. That's going to include video of this individual, as well as photos of this individual. We're asking the public for assistance to be able to identify this individual. The photos I will be able to show you are coming from the area of Hope Street near Benevolent and Manning. And those photos and those videos were retrieved around 2 p.m. on Saturday the 13th. And we believe that that's the same individual that we showed you from the previous video that we released. The public is encouraged to use the tip line, which is pretty active. We have a tip line which is staffed with officers from the Providence Police as well as analysts, and they're taking calls as we speak. And we want the public to use that information that they have that may be beneficial to this investigation. They need to call 401-272-3121 +0. I was going to direct you in order to provide the tips that you are providing to us. As well, you can access the FBI website at fbi.gov/Brown University shooting. Please, I'm going to ask you all to follow our channels to stay appraised of what's going on and to stay accurate. There's a lot of channels and a lot of stuff that's going out there that's circulating the wrong info. And I told you when I first met you that there's appropriate info, there's accurate info, and it's going to come from us. So I please and plead with you that you access those type of channels. Again, we're asking for the public assistance in identifying this individual that we're about to show you, and we'll release this video on Twitter and on Twitter account momentarily. I'm going to turn to the video behind us. I'll be able to show you in 2 seconds. Officer Mangan, if you can just activate the videos up. So this is the first video that we're showing you. This is the individual walking. It's on the sidewalk of Benevolent. And this is prior to the incident. Here we go again with the video 2, Mike. Again, you see him walking. Go on to the third video. These are some photos of this individual. And they will all be timestamped. The last photo. Thank you. So we'll be providing this as well, and I ask you all to please make sure you all put them up, and if anybody in the public that has any info about this individual, we ask that you call our tip line, and we'll also have the numbers in the website listed.
Thank you, Colonel. The last speaker today will be Special Agent in Charge from the FBI, Ted Dox.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ted Dox. I'm the Special Agent in Charge of FBI Boston. We know there's a lot of public concern about the horrific mass shooting at Brown University on Saturday, and rightfully so. I can assure you that law enforcement team standing before you today has been working around the clock, 24/7, to ensure justice is fully served. While we mourn the devastating loss of the victims and those who are critically injured, the FBI and its partners are dedicated to honoring their memory through a meticulous investigation. Tonight, as Colonel Perez stated, we are renewing our call for the public's assistance in seeking any and all information about the shooter. No amount of information is too small or irrelevant. We are also here to announce that the FBI is now offering a reward of $50,000 for information that could lead to the identification, the arrest, and the conviction of the individual responsible, who we believe to be armed and dangerous. We're asking everyone in Rhode Island and beyond to review the new images of the suspect, share them on social media, and come forward if you have any information. You can contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI or the tips provided by the police department at 401-272-3121, or you can also provide tips electronically and submit it to tips.fbi.gov. We're also doubling down on our efforts to obtain images and video of the shooter. Those can be submitted online at fbi.gov/Brown University shooting. Our agents and analysts are fully embedded with our law enforcement partners, including the Providence and Rhode Island State Police. We are tracking down leads, canvassing neighborhoods, and developing intelligence. And right now, our evidence response teams remain on campus processing the scene. And folks from our lab from Quantico are documenting the trajectories of the bullets to reconstruct the scene. It's painstaking work, and we are asking the public to be patient as we continue to run down every lead so we can get victims, survivors, and their families, and all of you, the answers you deserve. Thank you.
Mayor, can you tell Chief Oscar to say a statement in Spanish, please, for the Spanish media? Thank
Yes. Gracias. Sí, verdaderamente estamos acá esta noche para demostrarles los highlights del progreso que hemos hecho en el departamento, y quiero identificar que es una colaboración del Departamento de la Policía de Providence, el personal de este departamento, también incluye las policías del Estado, obviamente los federales, partners de nosotros, como el FBI, el HSI, el ATF, el IRS y también la oficina de los Marshals también están incluidos. Acabamos de mostrar 3 videos, los cuales depictan lo que es esta persona que estamos buscando, y le pedimos al público que realmente, si ven esta imagen y lo conocen a la persona, que llamen a los números que le acabamos de dar, y que los puedo dar cuando terminemos acá, para que ellos nos den esa información, y así nosotros tener la posibilidad de identificar a esta persona y traerlo a la justicia.
Colonel,
Mr.
Mayor,
Attorney
can you
General,
bear?
with these new images that are
Dan, go ahead.
Hi, Mayor Dan Jady from NBC 10. I just want to ask a question. These videos and images were actually very good that you just showed. They were from the day before, and I'm just wondering, why didn't we release these a little bit earlier? Did you just get them today? And can you explain? Because that's going to be a question from you.
Of course, and that's a great question, Dan, and I'll tell you that it takes time. I've mentioned it before, that investigations are very complex. And when you're doing canvassing areas, or when you're developing evidence, sometimes you get directed to another direction, and then that's what makes you go back to certain areas and continue to investigate. Here we are at the 49th hour, but I got to commend the dedication and professionalism of all of us that I mentioned earlier, because it's that passion to bring someone to justice that led us to get this info that we got today to be able to provide to you.
Colonel, are you still leading the still
images
leading the
and
investigation?
photos.
One second, sorry.
With these images and videos, are you all going to distribute them to the media? Can you distribute them?
100.
And then, you are.
So,
And then,
yes.
Mr. Attorney General, yesterday you made it clear you didn't have an image of this person's face. Now these images show you do have this person's face. Is this going to be key in solving this case, which you seem very dedicated in doing?
Yeah, look, I think, as I've said multiple times today, that these investigations are like threads that you pull on a garment. And some of them you pull and the garment doesn't open up, and other ones you pull and the garment comes undone. I think when you go out and get a better image of the person's face, that can only help the public, help us identify this person and confirm that they're the right person when that time comes. The prosecutors today have been working with the law enforcement agents and police officers to advance this investigation, and I would describe today's work as making steady progress to identifying the person that we saw in the video that was released yesterday, and the sooner we can identify that person, the sooner we can, I think, blow this case open. But that's work that has to happen in the next 24 to 36 hours.
Mayor, what led you to believe that there was no further threat to the community today? You mentioned yesterday that there was no additional evidence. Can you just expand upon that to?
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same as yesterday, which is ever since 4:05 on Saturday, which was when the first call came into ground. There's been no new, credible, specific threat anywhere in the Providence community.
With respect,
having anything.
Mayor, there was no threats made prior to the shooting, so how can people feel safe with that information?
The way in which we are trying to reassure our residents is through a noted, visible police presence throughout the community. It is going to be hard for my city to feel safe going forward. This has shaken us. That will be true tomorrow. I suspect that'll be true the day after the general convicts someone. This is a process to restore a sense of safety. But we're going to take those step at a time. And the first step in what we're trying to provide today, and which we did well with the assistance of our neighbors, and we're grateful for it, is a noted, visible police presence to provide some confidence for families that are taking their kids to school, people who have to get to work a shift. I spent lunchtime today walking down Thayer Street, and for our guests, Thayer Street is the commercial district right adjacent to campus. And I talked to one of the women at Antonio's, which some of you know is a pizza by the slice joint, and she said, I didn't want to come to work today, but I needed to work. I needed to take the shift, and that's a very real thing happening in our community right now. But she noticed, and she appreciated the fact that there were patrolmen walking up and down Thayer Street. It made her feel a little bit better. And when she comes to work tomorrow, I hope she feels a little bit better after that. That's where we are right now in terms of restoring a sense of safety to the community. And that's what we're going to continue to try to do.
Mayor,
Phil, go ahead.
Mayor, two questions.
Yeah.
To that point, a lot of people scared right now, a lot of people confused right now in the city. Can you speak to them directly, summarizing what you just said or any other thoughts from the heart?
Yeah.
Your take right now, is Providence safe?
Yeah. Providence remains a very safe city, and Providence receives really the best law enforcement, I believe, in the country. And today, especially at this moment, it's being augmented by great professionals of other Rhode Islanders, the state police, and others, and our federal partners. But my sense of the community right now is that this is starting to get very real and very personal. And I heard that today. I heard that last night at the vigil. We're all 2 degrees of separation from one another. And now people are starting to share stories with one another of, oh, my neighbor was nearby, and oh, my friend's kid was supposed to go to that review session but didn't. I'm starting to hear those stories, and I think all the Rhode Islanders in the room are starting to hear those stories. I heard that story again today. One of our customers is one of the teachers, and so it's starting to get very personal for our community, which is hard. And that's, I think, where we are sort of emotionally in the process. But we're here from one another. That's the scary side. The upside is that this is a tight-knit community that looks out for one another. The governor was there. All the officials who were up here with me tonight were with us at Lippert Park last night. It was 10 degrees. It was loosely organized, and yet hundreds of people came out because they wanted to be with one another. They were hugging their neighbors, they were crying, and they were offering each other support. So this community will heal from this. We will move forward. But that doesn't make light of, and I'm certainly not making light of, the fear and anxiety that persists. But the only way we're going to move forward through it is one step at a time, and today's one of those steps.
Go
ahead.
Colonel,
Yeah.
do you have any idea what kind of firearm was used in this shooting? And do you know how many rounds were fired? Do you have any details of that nature?
It was several rounds. It was a small caliber, actually 9mm firearm was used. And it was several rounds into it. And obviously, as we all know, the casualties and the injured people, it's just terrible. So, yes.
Colonel, I have two questions.
Yes.
Who is the lead investigator on this now? And secondly, what do you believe that a person of interest was doing in that video and those pictures that you obtained?
Yeah, so the first question, the lead is, obviously we're taking the lead, but
Okay.
we couldn't do this job without the assistance, as I mentioned, collaboration of all the different agencies and municipalities. This is a team effort. This is important to us. The mayor stated, it has shocked the city, and a lot of people are concerned. So this is an effort to put handcuffs on somebody, and it takes a whole team to do that.
My second question is, what do you think he was doing? Was he staking out the area? Because this was the day before the shootings, correct?
Correct. And so,
What do you think he was doing? Was it hours before, days before?
so it was a few hours before, and I'll tell you that at this point, that's all we have. So it was a few hours before what he was doing. We'll be able to find out further once we complete the investigation.
Colonel, with
Go ahead,
respect
John.
to
John DePietro, Road Patrol Life. Can you talk about, is it unusual to change the direction of an investigation as it's going on?
That's a great question, John. I think that, all detectives throughout this nation and in the world understand that when you investigate in a case, it takes different paths. You start somewhere, you start here, and all of a sudden something else pops off and you're going in a different direction. And that's what happens. It's complex. And at the end of the day, you have to investigate, you have to pull every rock, you have to look at every video, you have to examine evidence, you have to check ballistics. It just takes a lot of work. You have to interview witnesses, and sometimes that takes you to a whole different path. And as a police officer and a detective, you have to make sure that you don't get into that tunnel vision in order to be able to have right answers. So yeah, they do change. Go ahead.
Are you
sir.
concerned that the more time passes, it'll be harder to make an arrest?
I'll tell you, every
It's been a
minute,
couple days.
every minute counts. Every minute counts, but what doesn't stop is the dedication and professionalism of this department as well as our partners.
Do you have any reason to believe that any of the victims, whether the victims who died or the others, were targeted by this shooter, or that he was just shooting randomly and indiscriminately?
That's all part of the investigation step. Yeah, so we'll continue to investigate.
And then can
further.
you also explain, the FBI today was searching in the bushes and kicking around the snow, or moving the snow on Waterman Street. We have known since Saturday that the potential suspect walked down Waterman Street. It was in the first video. Why would you be now looking in the bushes for something on Waterman Street 2 days later after it had snowed?
So I just answered John the same question of how investigations, they turn and lead you in a different direction. We might have used all our energies in the first few days to investigate something, and here we are now heading back to that same place to continue to investigate, and that's why you saw that, because the investigations change on a daily basis.
on the travel of the 911 call or emergency calls that came in, when the first 911 calls to come in, were those dispatched by Brown University Police or Providence Police?
It was dispatched by the 911 center, and yes, we responded immediately within minutes. You saw the Providence Police cruiser pulling up.
So Providence has been an investigator on this from the beginning?
That's correct.
Have you received any leads or indication on whether this was personally motivated, political, or otherwise? Are there any threats to Brown that they've turned over that would give us an indication of why this might have happened?
It's a great question, and that's something that we're all asking ourselves, and we'll continue to investigate to be able to get that answer.
Colonel, based on your suspect.
Do you have reason to believe that this person is no longer in the community? Because can you continue to try to reassure the public that
they are safe, but you also just said that this person you believe is armed and dangerous. So how can both be true?
Well, yeah, right, and that's something that's unknown, but like the mayor stated, I'll tell you that we have enhanced enforcement in that area. We have, Steph stated earlier, we have a lot of officers in the area, so in that sense, it's going to be safe. But however, as well, I just want to remind the community that our priority in law enforcement in the city is to keep our constituents safe, keep them informed, and to keep them committed, to understand that we're a professional, we're dedicated, we're going to put somebody in handcuffs, and we're going to continue to do this job. So
but do you have reason to believe that they are no longer in this community?
That's something that we're continuing to investigate.
Colonel Blair, just real quick, Tom Quinn with WPRO. On the trajectory of where this guy went from the videos that you saw, where is the last place that you would you have clear video of seeing him? Is it like, are you still getting video from houses in that area? And you know, Colonel Weaver, just real quick, in terms of the state's response, how much enforced patrol? We know about the enforced patrol in Providence, but are you putting throughout the state to keep the highways, you know, keep an eye on the highways?
We have increased our patrols throughout the state, and we will respond accordingly to any requests for additional assistance. This is a collaborative effort, not only from our uniform division, but also our detective bureau is embedded here with Providence and our federal partners, and we will not stop until we find out who the suspect is and bring them to justice.
I just want to clarify something, because it seems that we're a little confused as far as the video itself. It says 2 p.m. It was their day off 2 hours prior.
So where?
2 p.m.
So based on the pictures.
That video
Let me just finish with that. Go ahead.
Thanks, Tim. Where's the last video that you actually have video from in that area?
It's in the vicinity of Hope Street between Benevolent and Men's.
Is that, and that's before the shooting?
That's correct, yes.
2 hours, right?
Yeah, 2 hours prior.
My turn, Bill. Dan, Tom, this video that you just released, more than anything, is key to wrapping to this case, okay? We have a closer picture of his face, we have a closer picture of his body. Based on that and witness interviews, do you have a new description of the person of interest now? Because you look like a guy just walking around, you know, the neighborhood. Is there a new description you can give us?
There is, and it will be on that poster that we're going to be releasing on the images, and the height, weight, and things of that nature are all posted on that.
You think he lives in the area?
It's something that we're investigating there.
Desde ayer se han filtrado a la prensa el nombre, la fotografía y hasta la casa de la persona de interés que estaba bajo custodia. Si quiere responde esta pregunta en los dos idiomas. Hoy habían algunos medios haciéndose eco de que había una segunda persona de interés en custodia. Este no es el caso porque no he escuchado absolutamente nada en esta conferencia que se refiera a eso. ¿Me puede usted decir cuánto o cómo están manejando ustedes la información dentro del departamento y cómo se está filtrando a la prensa?
Claro.
Porque esto crea confusión, obviamente.
Sí. So the gentleman just asked a question about how information is getting filtered into the community and out from us. And the question was that past few days an individual was identified and was detained. And he was a person of interest. We had him here. He's asking, how does that get out to the media? How does that happen? My answer to that is I have no control over what's being released or circulated in the media. Speculations that occur. What we can control is what we give you here. And as I was speaking earlier, that's why it's important for you to get the information from us. So, mi respuesta te hago es lo que pasa es no me doy cuenta cómo se filtra esa información al medio de comunicación. Es importante que la comunicación venga de nosotros y no de otras partes. Es muy importantísimo porque ustedes a circular en otros momentos van a especular. Ahora, he also asked, a second question that he asked was that there was information out there that we had a person in custody of interest, a second person. And that's not true, that's incorrect, and I don't know how that's circulated in speculation. So my answer to him is that, no, eso es mentira, hasta el momento no tenemos otra persona en custodia, lo único que tenemos es lo que acabamos de informar.
And building on that, Attorney General,
go ahead, Chris. There appeared to be an issue with 311 services during Saturday's incident. A lot of neighbors couldn't get notification. What issues were going on there, and has that since been resolved?
Yeah, so residents in the city of Providence were notified in multiple ways, and certainly through all of your outlets, all official City of Providence social media outlets, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. and we pushed out a 311 notice. If you are not, the 311 notification system in the city of Providence, you have to sign up for it in order to receive it. And so 311 notifications did go out. If you are a resident of the city of Providence and you are not receiving 311 notifications, we urge you to please sign up. You can do so at the city's website. 311 notices have continued to go out throughout this entire incident, including up as recently as today, this afternoon, to clarify a false report with regard to a report of shots fired, which was found to be unfounded. We sent out a push notification through 311 to reassure people because in this day and age, there's a lot of misinformation. A lot of people are getting reports through non-official channels and are getting anxious as a result of it. And so 311 notifications are working fine, but you have to register for it. And you have to opt in for text messages. If anyone needs assistance for how to sign up for 311, if you are not tech savvy or if you are having problems, you can call the phone number 311, and we have staff available who will help register you. For all of our community, please know that there are always bilingual individuals to take those phone calls.
Mr. Attorney General, you were on CNN this morning talking about, Mr. Attorney General, you were on CNN this morning talking about the person that you spoke, the person of interest from yesterday was here. We have not heard that here today. Can you talk about, is that person of interest still here in the state? Who was he? Was he from Wisconsin? Just,
Yeah, I think, as I said last night, for those of you who were here, I thought it was really unfortunate that this person's name was leaked by somebody.
Is he clear?
Well, let me finish my answer. Was leaked by, excuse me?
Why? When you finish the answer, just answer this question.
No, I haven't finished it yet.
No, you always come with the same answer.
I'm going to finish it. So, the person who was held, that this person's name was leaked by somebody.
Is he clear?
Well, let me finish my answer. Was leaked by, excuse me?
Why? When you finish the answer, just answer this question.
No, I haven't finished it yet.
No, you always come with the same answer.
So I'm going to finish it. So, the person who was held, it was unfortunate that his name got leaked because it's one of the reasons why we use words leaked. Because it's one of the reasons why leaked. Because it's one of the reasons why we use words carefully, and detaining someone because they're a person of interest is different from having a person in custody that you're gathering evidence to charge. I mean, that's a place in an investigation that eventually you get to, but we weren't there with this individual, so it's hard to put that name, back in the bottle. He has been cleared. He is not a person of interest any longer. The investigation is now focused in another direction. But I want to clarify something the chief said. That doesn't mean that while part of the team was focused on him, other leads weren't being followed up on. What's critical here is that we reconstruct, and the police know this, our prosecutors are working with them. It's critical that we reconstruct this man's movements, both before and afterwards. And my hope is that we will eventually have that pattern. But when you ask staff why are they looking in particular areas, where he was and what his movements are developing as we obtain additional evidence. So that can't explain why people are looking somewhere today as opposed to 2 days ago. We're learning more about his movements as we gather additional video evidence. And that video evidence has been coming in at a much greater degree than it was 12, 24, 36 hours ago. Why, you ask? Some people were away for the weekend. Some of these places were businesses. So what the team is doing, there are a bunch of teams doing different things. Exploiting electronic evidence, exploiting physical evidence, meaning forensic evidence from the crime scene, canvassing the neighborhoods. And those are the threads that when you pull them, will open this case up. And that has been true over the course of my career, and I'm confident it'll be true again here.
General,
yeah, go ahead, Nolan. I'll get out of the way.
I appreciate it. And this kind of follows up on what Colonel Krebs said about, to the general public to use official Providence police channels, be it YouTube or whatever. Are we doing doing a good job here? Is the media doing a good job in the ultimate goal right now of trying to locate this person?
Yeah, look, I think part of what's important about these briefings, I give the mayor great credit for doing them, is to help push out information in a case like this to the press and the public to help us solve this crime. That's potentially what it'll take here.
Mr. Mayor, I want to go back to Brown University.
Yeah.
Okay? There's been a lot of questions I've heard from a lot of parents today, and it goes back to the question about the alarm and that was installed in 2007. That in an active shooter location, it sends off a notice and tells people what to do. That never went off. I'm wondering, what is Brown's answer? And perhaps even just as important, why isn't Brown here today?
As for the decision to activate the Brown alarm, that's a question for Brown. I believe it was asked of the chief of the Brown Police Department the other day. You'd have to follow up with him. Okay. This is not a decision that the city of Providence or any of the other law enforcement partners that you see behind me can trigger that alarm. I don't know the answer to that. We continue to work very closely with Brown, and it is no lack of support or there's nothing to read into the fact that they're not here today.
Do you have any concerns
we
about
have
Brown?
Meaningful. We felt like there was meaningful updates to make with respect to the investigation, the video and photos that we shared today. Brown is not a part of those updates, and so we have all of the relevant agencies who are working on this and where we are in this investigation today, and that's why who you see here is here.
Do you have any concerns about why Brown didn't have those sirens go off? Have you had those conversations with them?
Again, Brown has to answer that question, but it is clear that, and the Colonel mentioned this, and we've talked about it a couple times over the last 2 days, the police response to the initial call was swift, timely. We don't believe there was any, it could not have happened any faster than it did. And so I can't speak to, honestly, don't know a lot about their alarm system, and you'd have to ask them about it. But in terms of our response, it was nearly immediately. There's a lot of presence in that area, and Brown PD responded very quickly.
In all respect, we can't ask Brown if they don't show up.
Well, you have their contact information, and I would encourage you to reach out. Please, straight back.
Maya Evelyn with MS Now. Do you have any update on the victims who are still hospitalized? Have you spoken with any of them or their families?
I don't. There's no degrading of their condition, but I don't have the latest status of them. I've not spoken to them since yesterday, although I know other people have, and we're happy to try to get you an update for our neighbors.
John says that Brown is to blame here, saying that the onus of this tragedy is on the school itself. Do you think that's a fair criticism? Do you disagree with what the president is saying in response to the shooting, sir?
Who's the question for? I'm sorry.
For Governor McKee.
Repeat the question, please.
President Donald Trump has said that Brown University is to blame for this shooting and saying it's the school's problem. Is that a fair criticism, or do you disagree with what the president
I don't
said?
think it's fair criticism.
Colonel.
Can you expand on that?
Why not? Because Brown University is not collaborating with you guys. You're lying to the press over here. They have facial recognition. We know that because they follow the students, they follow everybody in the neighborhood. Facial recognition. They need to release that data so everybody know who the guy is in video. We got the video Saturday. Why you guys release the video today?
Governor,
the question.
Listen,
Colonel, I have just a
John, please, just for a second. A couple things. First of all, Brown University and Brown Public Safety, Brown Police Department has been a close collaborator throughout this process.
That's not true.
I do not accept that criticism.
No, come on. We know that.
Secondly, everyone you see behind us, we've all been working for now 49 hours. We're tired. We're serious about the task at hand. I know all of you have been working very hard, and I suspect all of you are just as tired. The press has been a great partner in pushing out relevant, factual, timely information, and we are grateful for that. This crowd has grown a little bit over the last 48 hours, and I know that people are weary, and so I'm asking, please, for a little bit of patience and grace, and we have been fully transparent. We continue to answer your questions. We will continue to do so. But the best way to inform the public and to ask for their help is for these opportunities to not degrade into baseless accusations, and we will point them out when we hear them. John, go ahead, please.
Question to the Colonel. Colonel, we learned, you revealed that the shooter used a 9mm. Now, there's a report the shooter yelled something right before his shot came in. Can you tell us what that was?
Yes, part of the investigation, John.
Now, the only reason I asked that, though, is, for instance, like with the Unabomber, his brother recognized the writing. So it's possible a friend or family member might recognize if the person said something that was significant.
Correct.
So that's why you don't, other than the 9mm, is there anything else inside that auditorium that you could tell us?
No, that's correct. Listen, like I said earlier, investigations will bring us to evidence that we need to collect in order to be able to prosecute.
But he did yell something.
With that being said, we're going to continue to collect evidence, and if it leads us to something to that nature that's going to be extremely helpful for us to identify somebody, we'll be the first ones to put it out.
All right, Alex.
With how much time has elapsed at this point, do you have any evidence that indicates that this person is getting help, or are they a lone wolf in this situation?
Yeah, so we'll continue. Those are great questions, Alex, and I think that's something for us to continue to investigate. This is active and it's complex, and so that we may have an answer to that they by themselves, but that's not something that we have ruled out, and we won't do that. So.
Colonel, are you looking for both a living or a potentially deceased person of interest?
We don't rule anything out. Like I told you earlier, this is a complex situation. It's fluid. But we'll continue to do our job in order to be able to get those answers.
You were describing the suspect, or the person you're looking for, as someone in his 30s. Another you said 20s. From what you've seen, the picture that you've seen, can you now, through FBI profiling that's been done, give us a better age and whether or not he has any connection at this point, 49 hours later, to that classroom, that lecture hall, and to the Brown University campus? Can you say that lecture hall was targeted? Because we saw the video of him going around the neighborhood that you just showed us, but he didn't go anywhere else into that campus. So can you say that that classroom was targeted?
I'll tell you that what I can tell you is that this individual definitely targeted Brown University, because clearly as we're here speaking about that. And I can also tell you that obviously it's something that we're looking into as far as there was anything else that he was targeting, but it's all open. Was there another question to that, Bob?
I asked you about the approximate age, because this is the first time we're seeing his face. And just like with the marathon bombers, when the authorities finally put those pictures out, within hours, those people came up. So now that for the first time the nation is seeing this image, frontal image of this suspect, what are you able to, and the SAC from Boston especially, what are you able to now determine?
And we have that, and they have been extremely helpful, and we're going to be able to provide that to you so that you can put it on your own websites.
But you have Dan's got the last question, and then we're going to wrap it up.
All right, I want to ask two questions, if I could, Mayor. To follow up on John's question, did the suspect yell, like has been reported, and there's been some erroneous reporting, but did he yell when he came to the classroom? And how valuable have witness statements been from those who survived?
Listen, my heart goes out to the victims. It goes out to the families, and I'll tell you that their cooperation has been extremely helpful. And with that being said, we'll continue, and I'm going to respect the fact that, and I hope that they get better, and my heart and soul goes out to them. So.
Did he yell though? Did he say something?
That's something that we're investigating. We took statements. And
is there any audio from the scene? So any cell phones? There are a lot of cell phones there. Is there any audio?
We're gonna wrap it up here. For your planning purposes, we will continue to brief in this location until we say otherwise. We also, unless there's a significant update, we don't expect to brief further today and expect to do this again tomorrow. Obviously, it's subject to change. Please make sure you're on the press list. If you're not, you can see Josh. That's how notice will be made. But for your planning purposes, that's our expectation. Thank you all very much.
All right, we just heard from officials in Rhode Island giving an update on the shooting at Brown University over the weekend. The main new points that came out was that there's now a $50,000 reward being offered for any information leading to an arrest of a suspect in this case. They also released new video and photos of that suspect that they say were taken actually a few hours before the shooting on Saturday. We also have this from FBI Director Kash Patel on X. He says the FBI and Providence, Rhode Island PD are releasing new images of a person of interest in the mass shooting at Brown University on December 13th, 2025. The FBI is offering a reward up to $50,000 for information leading to the identification, arrest, and conviction of the individual. Anyone with information, contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI or Providence Police Department at 401-272-3121. And some more information that they touched on during that press conference. They said they don't have any update on the condition of victims that were wounded in the shooting. We do know 2 students died in the shooting, and police did have a person of interest in custody over the weekend, but he was released after investigators determined that the evidence was pointing in a different direction. Now, President Trump was also asked about the shooting at Brown University earlier today in the Oval Office. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Brown University, Mr. President, do you know what the motive of the shooter was? Is it was
No, we don't. No, it's that's moving along now, and we don't. And we're going to see what happens. Hopefully, they're going to capture this animal. Hopefully, they're going to capture it.
Has Kash Patel told you why it's been so difficult for the FBI to identify who the shooter is?
Well, it's always difficult. So far, we've done a very good job of doing it with Charlie, with the various times this has happened. They've done it in pretty much record time. But you really have to ask the school a little bit more about that, because this was a school problem. They had their own guards, they had their own police, they had their own everything. But you'd have to ask that question really to the school, not to the FBI. We came in after the fact, and the FBI will do a good job, but they came in after the fact.
That was President Trump speaking about the response to the shooting at Brown University on Saturday. We just got an update from officials there with some new information, including a reward that's now being offered to catch that suspect. When we come back after the break, we're going to speak to a law enforcement expert about this investigation. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Shauna Kalafi taking over here for Mike Page. I'll be here with you for the next 3 hours covering a lot of headlines today. We just got some new information from police in Rhode Island with an update on the shooting at Brown University over the weekend. They released these new photos as well as some new video of the suspect in that shooting. They say these are actually from a few hours before the shooting happened on Saturday. They also announced that they're going to be offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of this suspect. So a lot of new information coming out in that press conference just in the last few minutes. We're now joined live by Josh Sherrard, a law enforcement director at Byrna Technologies. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sean.
So, Josh, you were watching that press conference live along with us. As an officer yourself, you have actually personally responded to a school shooting in the past. Can you give us your perspective there on the law enforcement approach in those minutes after those reports come in?
So just like we heard in this press conference, it sounds like the law enforcement response to the initial shooting was very rapid. Obviously, Brown University is in a very busy part of Providence there, so it's a highly patrolled area as it's just highly congested. So officers were on scene within minutes. I think we heard one of the officials there saying that the response couldn't have been faster. So obviously the initial response was great. They were able to get into the classroom. The unique challenge that universities pose as opposed to some of the high school, middle school, elementary school shootings that we've seen is the fact that they're so spread out. I mean, it is a campus. There's multiple buildings, all that have to be secured. We're not really sure of the information that came in through 911 telling where exactly the shooting was, if the officers understood exactly where that building was. College campuses just provide definite challenges that we don't see in some other shootings. So for the officers to be able to get there in a rapid manner and clear that school and make sure everybody got out safely is outstanding, for those officers and for that city. The question now is, where is this investigation going, especially after this weekend when we had a person of interest in custody that's now been released, and we're 49 hours into and behind a suspect that is clearly on the run and doesn't seem to be wanting to come forward.
Yeah, talking about that was a lot of reporters during that press conference were asking that question with so much time now elapsed since the shooting. How does that affect the investigation? And they were also asking why it took so long to release these new images. How does that come into play and what effects could that have on tracking this person down?
So when you're looking at an investigation, especially one of this magnitude, you have to be careful with some of the information that you release that could help you corroborate an actual suspect in the long run. We don't want to release any evidence that might taint the case, that might affect our ability to actually pinpoint somebody and confirm that they are a suspect. We don't want that chain of evidence getting out there and getting sloppy. With that being said, however, video evidence like this that helps you identify a suspect is something you want to get out there as quickly as possible. I guarantee that there are hundreds of cameras on the campus of Brown University. So whether it just took them that long to peruse those cameras to try to find someone, or whether there was just an excessive amount of video and they're trying to pinpoint to give us the best video possible, that's the question here, is why it took so long. I know one of the officials said, well, it was the weekend. We're trying to get people in, which is unfortunately not an excuse that a lot of people are going to find very comforting. So it would have helped to have these videos, these images out much sooner than 2 days plus, than 49 hours later. But we have them now, so we're going to have to use what we have to try to pinpoint this suspect. But unfortunately, like I said, he's got a head start, and there's no real messaging here as to a possible motive or why this was done. So we have to ask the question, this right now could fall into one of three categories as far as an attack is concerned. It could be your traditional active shooter where for one reason or another, he was just bent on going in and causing as much death, mayhem, and destruction as he could in a, short period of time. This could be more of a terrorist attack where there's some sort of ideological or religious or political messaging and belief behind this that we'll eventually hear about and get to. or this could be a targeted attack where one individual was really the target of this shooting and the rest of the individuals were either very unfortunate collateral damage or they were used as an intentional smokescreen to try to cover up the fact that this was a targeted attack. All three of these different attacks could have very different outcomes as to where the suspect is going, why we haven't been able to find him or locate them yet, and how we will be able to find them and track them down in the future. Those are the questions that we have to start looking at and figuring out, and hopefully the police have a better understanding and they're just holding on to that information so that they don't release that critical evidence that could help convict that suspect later down the line.
And you spoke about this a little bit, but over the weekend, actually a person of interest was in custody. We even learned their age. There were some rumors about that person's identity, but now we've learned that that person was released. And now, of course, they have renewed their search for a suspect here. What was your initial reaction to hearing that a person of interest was taken into custody and then released? Is this something that happens often, and why would that happen? How would it affect the investigation now?
It's definitely a possibility when you're talking an investigation of this magnitude where time is of the essence. You have to get somebody in custody, one, to make sure that your community is safe, and two, to make sure that you don't allow a possible suspect to get any further, especially if they're really trying not to be caught. And that's kind of the issue here. So look, in very few cases is there either a literal or proverbial smoking gun. Many times, just like in this one, what we're looking for is a bunch of evidence that's going to start pointing in certain directions from, I mean, you heard him talk about it in earlier press conferences. We have surveillance video. We have cell phone data. We have license plate readers. We have some tips coming in. We're looking at how that evidence all runs in parallel and where we make intersections to try to point to a certain suspect. And unfortunately, a lot of times, all we look at when we start to find these initial suspects is some sort of preponderance of that evidence that points to to the same person. And at that point, we have to follow that trail to try to exhaust that suspect. And they did that. But unfortunately, that suspect just was not, that they made an inference based on the evidence, because evidence is sterile. Evidence is what it is. It's how you interpret it that leads you somewhere. So unfortunately, it looks like they interpreted the evidence one way that just led them down the wrong path. Now, the goal is to try to run multiple paths at a time so you don't lose that time that you spend down that rabbit hole, so to speak. So hopefully they will continue to pursue other avenues, and we're not as far behind as we may think we are. But this does happen and can happen, like I said, especially when time is of the essence and we're really trying to get a suspect in custody.
And of course, time is of the essence because officials are describing this person as armed and dangerous. We don't know exactly where they are. What effect does that have on the city, on the school as well? We are hearing that a lot of people are feeling uncomfortable. Is there any way to, lock down a perimeter or anything this far after the event itself?
Unfortunately, no. I mean, when we're talking 49 hours, especially in this day and age, the amount of travel that suspect could have attained in 49 hours is massive, whether by foot, whether by car, by train, by air. We have no idea how far he could have gone. And that's one of the other big questions to be answered. Is this a sole attack? Is this the only person that's involved in this? Did he have material support from somebody? Is there logistical support that's going on as well? Or is this the first of a series of attacks, much like we saw with the Beltway sniper, 2 decades ago? Will there be further attacks in the same area, in the same region, or just by the same person that may have similar MOs? These are the questions that we have to answer. And while we don't want a community to be paranoid and feel unsafe, the community should definitely be on heightened alert. One, to try to identify the suspect with the very limited visual cues that we have. But two, they should have a heightened situational awareness to make sure that if there are follow-on attacks, that they can get themselves out, get themselves to safety quickly, and not fall in, to an unfortunate, sense of safety and lull, allowing themselves to fall into one of these attacks as well.
And one last thing here, of course, this is happening in Rhode Island. It's winter time. We've seen some snow on the ground. How would that affect the investigation in terms of gathering evidence and searching for the suspect?
So snow is an unfortunate, just like rain. I'm in the southern part of the United States, so snow generally not an issue for us. Rain definitely is, but it's obviously very similar. When you have those changing conditions, that can be very hard to preserve evidence. Snow melts, it comes back, you get more snow on top, it moves around and can drift. So you have to be very quick about getting there and preserving any kind of physical evidence that you might have, whether it be ballistics, like the shell casings they found, blood trails, DNA, footprints. All of this could absolutely be used to identify a suspect down the road. But if we have these changing climate conditions and weather conditions that are interfering with our physical evidence, whether it's moving it or just outright making it disappear, that can definitely hinder the investigation and can really hinder a conviction down the road when we're relying on some of that physical evidence like DNA, like blood, like footprints, shoe prints to help convict somebody. That's where we can run into problems. So it's imperative that they get on that they collect any evidence that they can find and not allow those changing weather patterns to interfere with that investigation.
All right, Josh Sherrard, a law enforcement expert, thank you so much for lending your expertise on this. We will continue to follow any developments that come from this. Thank you.
Absolutely, Sean. Thanks for having me.
And we do want to show you one more time those new images of this suspect just released in the last hour by officials in Rhode Island. They say these were from just a few hours before the shooting. Officials now offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of that suspect. We're going to step away for a short 2-minute break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Shauna Kalafi. We've been covering the developments in the murders of Rob Rayner and his wife, Michelle. The actor-director and his wife were found dead inside of their home in LA on Sunday, both stabbed. Now their son is in custody. That's according to the LAPD. Let's bring in TMZ producer Branson Quirky. So Branson, this was some shocking news last night. This case has been moving pretty quickly since then. The LAPD says that son was arrested just hours after they were found. So can you break down the timeline here for us?
Oh, okay.
All right, we will try to get back to that report in a moment. Right now, we want to play out a story on the Rayner murders. So let's get that for you now. Actually, we will have that for you after we step away for a 2-minute break. We apologize for that delay. We'll have more on this story when we come back. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Shauna Kalafi. We want to get back to that story of actor-director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle, who were found dead inside of their LA home on Sunday. Now their son is in custody. We're joined now by TMZ producer Branson Quirky. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. I mean, in the wake of this tragic event that went down on Sunday, everyone is just shocked. Hollywood is shocked. We're seeing tributes pouring out from across the board. But right now, what everybody is wondering and what we do not have yet is what this motive was behind these horrendous murders. We know that Nick was taken into custody, is being held on a $4 million bond at this very moment. And what we're doing here at TMZ is we're digging up from sources, we're digging up old interviews of moments in which Nick talked about his relationship with his father, with his mother. And from what we have seen so far, we've found bits and pieces of the fact that there really was not a great relationship between Nick and his father. As of recently, actually, there was a moment at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party as soon as last year in which Nick and his father had got in a massive blowout argument at this event. It was so loud that everybody could hear this argument, and they ended up going home because of that. And also sources tell us that people at that party noticed that Nick was just not in the greatest of appearance, and he appeared to be dealing with something very serious. We know that he's dealt with addiction. We know that sources tell us that there was a point they were getting to where they couldn't deal with him living at the home anymore, that he was homeless for some time as well. So there was a lot here that led up to this tragedy on Sunday.
And like you mentioned, TMZ is reporting that this son, Nick, an adult son of the two of the couple, they were seen arguing in public, as you said, at a party. Do we know if the son, who is 32 years old, do we know if he was actually living in the same home with his parents?
We do. We know that he was living at the home, and that's where this source tells us that it was getting to a breaking point, that they had to be dealing with his specific, and what this is exactly what they said, was that it was mental health, it was addiction issues. And in the past, we were also told that these addiction issues really put a rift on the family and put a strain on the family. And also, if you go back to as early as 15, Nick went to rehab for those addiction, which actually led to him working with his father on a project together, in which Rob really supported Nick's recovery in terms of addiction. But now, looking at what we're dealing with now, it obviously came back after that.
And we just got some new information from the LAPD. They say that he's actually being held now on without bail. Earlier, it was being reported that there was $4 million. Do you know what changed there?
I don't know exactly what changed there. That's obviously breaking news here, but that was something that people were definitely talking about. The $4 million bond, especially somebody that comes from a high-profile family where there is maybe the access to that amount of money to be able to get out, because in terms of bail, that's not something that you have to pay in one large sum. It's something that you pay in possibly a 10% increment. So there was a possibility he could get out, but it's something as horrendous as this, slitting your parents' throats, without question, it should be no bail.
All right, thank you so much, Branson, for the details, and we will continue to follow this case, of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shauna.
All right, we are going to step away again for a 2-minute break. We will be right back. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Shauna Kalafi. We're continuing to cover the murders of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, as new details are coming out. Michelle, as his friends, co-stars, and fans are mourning this loss. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has more on this tragedy.
Many in Hollywood are reacting to the shocking deaths of legendary actor-director Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, as investigators release more details into what happened. Rob and Michelle Reiner were found in their Brentwood home Sunday. The Los Angeles Fire Department first responded to the incident, which is being investigated by the Robbery Homicide Division. At a press conference Monday, Los Angeles Police Chief Jim McDonnell shared an update. Reiner's youngest son, Nick Reiner, is now in custody.
They worked throughout the night on this case and were able to take into custody
Nick Reiner, a suspect in this case. He was subsequently booked for murder.
A statement from the Reiner family confirmed the sad news, saying, "It is with profound sorrow that we announce the tragic passing of Michelle and Rob Reiner. We are heartbroken by this sudden loss, and we ask for privacy during this unbelievably difficult time." Friends, co-stars, and fans are paying tribute to the entertainment icon. Reiner had a range of work, which was a testament to his incredible talent. The actor, director, producer, and writer followed in the footsteps of his father, Carl Reiner.
Is that all?
His big breakout role was on the sitcom All in the Family in 1971, which earned him 2 Emmys. While he continued acting, his directing took the spotlight early, starting with the mockumentary This Is Spinal Tap in 1984. Among other films he directed, Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men. The list of classics goes on, and just a few months ago, he added a Spinal Tap sequel, going back to where it all started. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And again, director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle found dead in their LA home. That was on yesterday. And now we know as of today that their son Nick is in custody. We have Fox's Amalia Roy live now in LA with more on this case. Amalia?
We have our robbery homicide division handling the investigation. They worked throughout the night on this case and were able to take into custody Nick Reiner, a suspect in this case. He was subsequently booked for murder and is being held on $4 million bail.
According to an update on the LA Sheriff's inmate website after the chief's statement, Nick Reiner is now being held without bail. On Sunday, police found Rob and Michelle Reiner with stab wounds inside their home here in LA's Brentwood neighborhood. Late yesterday, law enforcement sources were saying there weren't any signs of forced entry into the home. According to the LA County Jail records, Nick Reiner was taken into custody at 9:15.